Sometimes the universe orchestrates moments so perfect, so profound, that they become turning points not just for the people involved, but for everyone who witnesses them. March 15, 1973, at Los Angeles International Airport was one of those moments. What happened in Terminal 3 that Friday afternoon would be retold for decades, reshaping how people understood martial arts, respect, and the true meaning of strength. But to understand the magnitude of those 7 seconds, you need to understand the collision of worlds that created them. The setting: LAX Terminal 3, Los Angeles International Airport, March 15, 1973. Friday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. Terminal 3 buzzes with the controlled chaos of spring break travel season. The air is thick with anticipation, exhaustion, and that particular airport cocktail of scents: burnt coffee from the concession stands, jet fuel seeping in from the tarmac, and the industrial carpet cleaner that tries unsuccessfully to mask the smell of thousands of travelers passing through daily. The terminal is packed. Families with children weaving between rows of connected plastic chairs, their kids running circles around luggage while parents try to manage boarding passes and maintain sanity. Business travelers in dark suits read newspapers, occasionally glancing at their watches with the impatience of people accustomed to schedules that matter. College students sprawl on the floor near charging stations, backpacks serving as pillows, textbooks scattered around them like academic debris. The system crackles to life every few minutes with announcements delivered in that distinctive airport monotone that somehow manages to sound both urgent and mind-numbingly boring. American Airlines Flight 447 to San Francisco now boarding at Gate 24. Pan Am Flight 108 to Tokyo delayed 2 hours due to mechanical difficulties. Please do not leave luggage unattended. The 1970s airport experience is a far cry from the sanitized, security-heavy environment of later decades. People can walk freely to gates without tickets. Families can accompany travelers right to the departure lounge. There's a casual openness that makes LAX feel more like a bustling train station than the fortress-like facility it would later become. Near Gate 27, in a row of those uncomfortable but iconic orange plastic chairs that define 1970s airport aesthetics, sits a man who appears to be nothing more than another wary traveler. Bruce Lee, 32 years old, 5'7", and 135 pounds of compact efficiency, has claimed a corner spot where he can observe his surroundings while maintaining some privacy. He's dressed simply: dark slacks, a black turtleneck that's become something of a signature, a leather jacket draped over the adjacent chair, and a small carry-on bag at his feet. What makes this scene unusual is what Bruce is doing. While most travelers are reading magazines, dozing, or staring blankly at the departure board, Bruce has a manuscript spread across his lap, pages of handwritten notes that would eventually become the Tao of Jeet Kune. He's wearing reading glasses, something his movie audiences rarely see, making him look more like a philosophy professor than the martial arts icon the world knows him to be. This is Bruce in his natural element, not performing, not demonstrating, just thinking, learning, evolving his understanding of movement and human potential. The pages before him contain diagrams of footwork patterns, philosophical musings on the nature of combat, and technical notes that blend Eastern martial arts with Western boxing and fencing principles. He's making corrections with a pen, crossing out lines, adding observations in the margins. Bruce is traveling to Hong Kong for what he doesn't yet know will be one of his final trips home. He has meetings scheduled with Golden Harvest Studios, post-production work to oversee for Enter the Dragon, and family to visit. The film that will make him a global icon is still months away from release, and Bruce has no way of knowing that his time is running shorter than anyone could imagine. But in this moment, he's simply a tired man trying to steal some quiet time in a chaotic airport, completely absorbed in his work, unaware that he's about to become the center of a confrontation that will be remembered for decades. The gate area around him holds maybe 50 people, scattered across the plastic chairs in the random patterns of air travel. Some are sleeping, heads tilted at uncomfortable angles. Others read or write letters. A few children play quietly with toys on the carpeted floor. It's the normal Friday afternoon energy of people in transit, everyone existing in their own bubble of private concerns and destinations. Nobody is paying particular attention to anyone else. That's about to change dramatically. The challenge: Robert Chen arrives. The energy in the gate area shifts the moment Robert Chen walks in. He's impossible to miss: 6'2", 210 pounds of athletic build, wearing a crisp white judo gi with a black tied around his waist. The belt isn't new, it's worn and frayed at the edges from years of training, competition, and teaching. This isn't a costume or an affectation. This is the uniform of someone who has dedicated his life to his art. Robert Chen is 28 years old, a 6th degree black belt with 15 years of serious training behind him. He's competed nationally, placed in regional championships, and teaches at a respected dojo in West Los Angeles. His credentials are legitimate, his skill undeniable. In the world of American Judo, Robert Chen is a name that carries weight and respect. He's carrying a gym bag, clearly coming from training. His gi is clean, but his hair is still damp with sweat, and he moves with the confident precision of someone who knows exactly what his body can do. His shoulders are back, his head up, his gait purposeful. This is a man comfortable in his own skin, secure in his abilities, certain of his place in the martial arts hierarchy. Robert is heading toward gate 28, just adjacent to Bruce's gate, when he stops mid-stride. His eyes have locked onto the figure reading alone in the corner, and recognition hits him like a physical blow. Even in 1973, even before Enter the Dragon makes him a global superstar, Bruce Lee has a face that martial artists know. The Green Hornet, guest appearances on Longstreet, demonstration footage that's been circulating through the martial arts community. Bruce has achieved a level of recognition that makes him instantly identifiable to anyone serious about fighting arts. But Robert's reaction isn't the typical fan response of excitement or starstruck nervousness. His face hardens, his jaw sets, his eyes narrow. He shifts his gym bag to his other shoulder, squares his stance, and begins walking directly toward Bruce with unmistakable purpose. Other travelers in the gay area begin to notice. Conversations quiet as people sense something building. Eyes turn toward this tall man in martial arts uniform walking with obvious intent toward the guy reading quietly in the corner. The energy that was casual and dispersed suddenly becomes focused and tense. Robert stops exactly 5 feet from Bruce, close enough to command attention, far enough to avoid seeming immediately threatening. He doesn't say anything at first, just stands there with his considerable presence, waiting for Bruce to acknowledge him. Bruce feels the intrusion before he sees it. 15 years of sensitivity training have taught him to never be completely unaware of his environment, even when deeply focused on something else. Part of his consciousness is always tracking the space around him, monitoring for changes in energy or proximity. He knows someone is standing near him, deliberately near, too close for casual coincidence. He looks up slowly from his manuscript, removes his reading glasses with deliberate calm, and sets them down on the pages. His face reveals nothing, no annoyance, no defensiveness, no concern. Just present awareness, waiting to understand what this is about. "You're Bruce Lee," Robert says. It's not a question but a statement delivered with an edge of accusation, as if Bruce's very identity is somehow problematic. Bruce nods once. That's right. Robert shifts his weight in the subtle way judokas do when they're preparing to engage. It's a barely perceptible movement, but anyone trained in grappling arts would recognize it instantly. His center of gravity lowers slightly, his feet position for better balance, his arms relax in preparation for action. "I've seen your movies," Robert continues, his voice carrying across the gate area loud enough for everyone to hear. "The Green Hornet, your demonstrations." There's disdain in his tone, dismissal wrapped in false politeness. Bruce doesn't respond, just waits. He's learned that silence often reveals more than questions. "Kung Fu is useless," Robert declares, his voice now loud enough that conversations throughout the gate area stop entirely. Against real martial arts, judo, wrestling, actual combat sports, Kung Fu is just dancing, movie fighting. It wouldn't work for 10 seconds against a real judoka. The terminal gate falls silent. 50 people stop whatever they were doing and turn their attention to this confrontation unfolding in their midst. A businessman lowers his newspaper. A woman with a coffee cup pauses it halfway to her lips. Children playing on the floor look up at the adults. Even the elderly couple napping in corner chairs open their eyes. This is 1973, years before mixed martial arts will demonstrate the effectiveness of different fighting styles against each other. The martial arts world is still largely divided into distinct camps, each convinced of their own superiority, each dismissive of approaches that don't align with their training methods. Traditional versus modern, Eastern versus Western, sport versus street, these divisions run deep, and Robert Chen is giving voice to one side of a debate that has been simmering in dojos and training halls across America. Bruce looks at Robert for a long moment, his dark eyes taking in not just the man's words, but his body language, his emotional state, his underlying motivations. What Bruce sees isn't just arrogance or ignorance. He recognizes something deeper: fear. Fear that everything Robert has dedicated 15 years of his life to might not be enough. Fear that Bruce's revolutionary approach of mixing styles and breaking from tradition might be pointing toward a future where Robert's rigid adherence to classical judo becomes obsolete. This isn't really about kung fu versus judo. This is about Robert's need to validate his chosen path, to prove to himself and everyone watching that his 15 years in a gi have been worthwhile, that his way is the only way, that change and adaptation are unnecessary because what he already knows is sufficient. Bruce understands this dynamic because he's encountered it many times before. Traditional martial artists who feel threatened by his philosophy of absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add what is specifically your own. Instructors whose identity is so wrapped up in their chosen art that any suggestion of evolution or integration feels like a personal attack. He could argue, he could explain that he has immense respect for judo, that grappling arts are essential components of any complete fighting system, that Jeet Kune incorporates wrestling and throwing techniques, that he's never claimed kung fu is superior to anything. He could point out that his approach is about effectiveness, not style loyalty, about practical application rather than theoretical superiority. But words won't reach Robert right now. Not with 50 people watching and Robert's ego demanding validation. Not when Robert has positioned himself as the defender of real martial arts against Bruce's supposedly fraudulent movie techniques. Bruce closes his manuscript carefully, sets it on the seat next to him, and stands up slowly. His movements are completely non-threatening, simply bringing himself closer to Robert's eye level, or as close as 5'7", can get to 6'2". When Bruce speaks, his voice is quiet but clear enough for everyone in the silent gate area to hear. Show me. Robert blinks, momentarily thrown off balance. What? Show me that kung fu won't work against judo, Bruce says calmly. You're making a claim, back it up. Show me. This isn't what Robert expected. He was prepared for argument, denial, or Bruce backing down. He wasn't prepared for immediate acceptance of his challenge. The directness catches him off guard, but only briefly. A businessman nearby says nervously, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't." Bruce raises one hand gently. "It's okay, we're just having a discussion. No one will get hurt." The way he says it, so calm and certain, like he's already seen how this will end, sends a ripple of anticipation through the watching crowd. The confrontation seconds that changed everything. Robert sets down his gym bag with deliberate ceremony. Other travelers are scrambling now, moving back to create space, some excited by the prospect of witnessing real martial arts action, others nervous about potential violence in a public airport. An elderly woman pulls her grandson closer. Parents gather their children. A security guard 2 gates away notices the commotion and starts walking over, but he's 50 yards away. Whatever is about to happen will be over long before he arrives. Robert steps into the cleared space and drops into a textbook judo stance, feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, hands positioned for gripping and throwing. 15 years of muscle memory settle into place as his body assumes the position it knows best. He looks formidable, confident, ready. This is his element, his area of expertise. Bruce doesn't take any kind of fighting stance. He simply stands naturally, feet in a comfortable position, hands relaxed at his sides, breathing calm and even. He looks like he's still just waiting for his flight, not preparing for a martial arts demonstration. This apparent lack of preparation infuriates Robert. The disrespect, the casual dismissal, the absolute confidence, it all feels like mockery. "Put your hands up," Robert says through gritted teeth. Bruce shakes his head slightly. "I don't need to." "Then you'll lose. Show me." Second one. Robert moves. 15 years of training means his body knows what to do without conscious thought. He closes the distance in 2 quick steps, reaches for Bruce's lapel with his right hand, the classic judo grip that begins most throwing techniques. Get control of the opponent's gi, establish grips, execute the throw. It's basic, effective, drilled 10,000 times until it becomes automatic. His hand shoots forward with practiced precision and considerable speed. Second 2. Bruce's left hand intercepts Robert's wrist mid-motion. Not blocking, not deflecting, intercepting. Stopping the attack before it can fully develop. His fingers wrap around Robert's wrist with surgical precision, applying just enough pressure to control without causing damage. Second 3. Robert tries to pull back and reset, but Bruce is already moving to the next phase. His right hand comes up and strikes Robert's inner elbow, not hard, just a tap, but it hits a pressure point that makes Robert's arm hyperextend involuntarily. His grip fails. His structure breaks. Second 4, Bruce steps to Robert's outside angle, moving offline from the center line of attack. Robert's momentum carries him forward into empty space. He's off balance now, his training screaming at him to recover, plant his feet, reset his stance, but Bruce doesn't give him the chance. Second 5, Bruce's right foot sweeps Robert's lead leg. It's a simple technique, basic enough to be taught in first-year judo classes. But timing is everything in martial arts, and Robert's weight is transitioning at the exact moment the sweep arrives. His balance is already compromised from the previous techniques. The sweep finds the precise instant where resistance is impossible. Second 6, Robert's base vanishes. He's falling. 15 years of Yukimi fall training kick in automatically. His body knows how to fall safely, tuck the chin, slap the ground to distribute impact, protect the head and spine. But Bruce controls the descent. His left hand still holds Robert's wrist, his right hand moves to Robert's shoulder, guiding the fall, ensuring Robert lands safely but completely controlled. Second 7, Robert hits the airport carpet on his back. The landing isn't hard, there's no slam, no injury, just complete positional control. Bruce's knee settles on Robert's chest, not with full weight but with enough pressure to make escape impossible. His left hand pins Robert's right wrist to the ground. His right hand hovers near Robert's throat, not touching, not threatening, just positioned where a finishing strike could land if this were a real fight. Bruce says quietly, so only Robert can hear, "Do you tap?" The aftermath silence, and understanding Robert stares up at Bruce, his face flushed not with exertion but with embarrassment, shock, and the crushing realization that 15 years of training have just been methodically dismantled by someone who never even assumed a fighting stance. The whole sequence unfolded so quickly that most of the watching crowd couldn't follow the individual techniques. They just saw a 6-2 judo master go from standing to completely controlled on the ground in what seemed like a single fluid motion. The gate area is dead silent. 50 people with their mouths open, frozen in various states of disbelief. A man is caught halfway through sitting down. A woman holds a coffee cup suspended in midair. The children who were playing with toy cars stare with wide eyes. The businessman with the newspaper has lowered it completely, his attention now focused entirely on the scene unfolding before him. No one can fully process what they've witnessed. 7 seconds from first contact to complete control. 7 seconds to take a 6-2, 210-pound 6-degree black belt from standing confidently to pinned helplessly on the ground. It happened too fast for casual observation to track, but the result is undeniable. The security guard finally arrives, sees Robert on his back with Bruce kneeling over him, sees 50 shocked witnesses, and immediately reaches for his radio. But Bruce has already seen him coming. He releases Robert's wrist, stands up slowly, and backs away 3 steps, his hands visible and non-threatening, every movement deliberate and designed to show the approaching guard that the situation is under control and non-violent. Robert remains on the ground for a moment longer, staring at the ceiling tiles and trying to process what just happened to his entire worldview. Everything he thought he knew about fighting, about his own abilities, about the effectiveness of traditional training, all of it has been rewritten in 7 seconds. Bruce extends his hand, offering to help Robert up. Robert looks at the hand, then at Bruce's face, searching for mockery or triumph or ego. He finds none of that, just a calm offer of assistance, human to human. Robert takes the hand. Bruce pulls him to his feet with the same controlled precision he's applied to everything else. Robert's legs are shaky, not from physical exhaustion but from psychological shock. The security guard approaches with the cautious energy of someone trying to assess a potentially dangerous situation. "What's going on here?" Bruce answers calmly, his voice carrying the authority of someone completely in control of the situation. "We were having a discussion about martial arts. My friend here wanted a demonstration. I showed him one. No one's hurt." "No problem." The guard looks at Robert. "That true?" Robert nods slowly, still struggling to find his voice, to process what he's experienced. The guard surveys the crowd. Everyone okay? People nod, though many are still visibly stunned. Already the whispered conversations are beginning, the story starting to spread and evolve. By tomorrow it will be 10 attackers. By next week, Bruce will have been blindfolded. That's how legends grow, through retelling that amplifies drama and minimizes context. The guard points at both men. "Keep it peaceful. This is an airport, not a dojo." "Understood," Bruce says. The guard walks away, still suspicious but seeing no actual crime committed, no damage, no injuries, no arrests necessary. Just 2 men doing martial arts in a terminal. Weird, but not illegal. Bruce picks up his leather jacket, returns to his seat, sits down, puts his reading glasses back on, and opens his manuscript like nothing happened. The casual return to normalcy is almost as stunning to the watching crowd as the physical demonstration was. Robert stands there still processing, still trying to understand what just happened to 15 years of certainty. Bruce looks up from his reading. "You can sit if you want. My flight doesn't board for another hour." Robert sits not in the chair directly next to Bruce, which feels too familiar, but one chair over. Close enough to talk, far enough to maintain some dignity. They sit in silence for a minute. The gate area gradually returns to its normal energy as other travelers realize the show is over. Conversations resume, though many are now focused on what just happened. Children go back to their toys. Business travelers return to their newspapers. Finally, Robert finds his voice. "How?" Bruce looks at him. "How what? How did you?" "I'm a 6th degree black belt. 15 years of training. I've thrown men bigger than me. And you just..." He trails off, unable to finish the sentence. Bruce closes his book again, removes his reading glasses. "You're a very good judoka?" Robert's face flushes. "Don't patronize me." "I'm not," Bruce says seriously. "Your stance was textbook. Your entry was fast. Your grip was correct. Everything you did was right for judo." "Then how?" "You fought with rules," Bruce says. "You grabbed for my gi, but I'm not wearing a gi. You set up for a classical throw, but I didn't give you classical structure. You trained for 15 years against people playing the same game you're playing. I don't play games. I fight." Robert is quiet, processing this. Bruce continues, "Judo is beautiful. It's effective, but it's optimized for a specific context, opponents in GIS, specific grips, competition rules. When you fight someone who doesn't respect those rules, who doesn't give you the setup you need, what happens? I lose." Robert says quietly. "You learn?" Bruce corrects. "Today you learned that your art has limitations. That's not a weakness. That's wisdom. Every art has limitations. The question is, are you rigid or are you water?" Robert looks at him. "Water, be water, my friend." Bruce smiles slightly. "Water doesn't fight the container. It becomes the container. It flows around obstacles. It adapts. Judo is your foundation. It's solid, strong. But are you willing to add to it, to adapt it, to let it evolve?" "You're saying I should learn Kung Fu." Bruce shakes his head. "I'm saying you should learn everything. Wrestling, boxing, fencing. Study them all. Absorb what is useful. Reject what is useless. Add what is specifically your own. Don't be a judoka. Be a martial artist." The teaching moment, the PA system crackles to life. Pan Am Flight 742 to Hong Kong, now boarding at Gate 27. Bruce stands, gathers his jacket, his bag, his manuscript. Robert stands too, suddenly realizing this encounter is about to end. "Wet," Robert says. Can I train with you?" Bruce looks at him carefully, seeing something different in Robert's face now. The arrogance is gone, replaced by genuine curiosity and humility. "You live in West La? I teach at a dojo on Wilshire." Bruce pulls a business card from his jacket pocket, writes something on the back, and hands it to Robert. "My school in Chinatown. Tuesday and Thursday evenings. If you're serious about learning, come. But check your ego at the door. White belt mind, even if you wear a black belt." Robert takes the card and stares at it like it's a treasure map. Bruce extends his hand. "It was good to meet you, Robert." Robert shakes it, then realizes something. "You knew my name." "Your gym bag," Bruce says. "Your name's embroidered on it." Robert looks down. Sure enough, Robert Chen is stitched in small letters near the zipper. Bruce picks up his carry on and walks toward the gate. The boarding line parts for him like water around a stone. Everyone is still staring, still processing, still trying to understand what they witnessed. Robert stands there holding the business card, feeling the minor ache in his back from the fall, feeling the larger ache in his ego from the lesson. An elderly woman approaches him, the one with the grandson who pulled the child close during the confrontation. "That was Bruce Lee," she says in accented English. Robert nods. "You're very brave to challenge him." "I was very stupid," Robert says. She pats his arm gently. "But you learned. That's not stupid. That's wise." 3 months later, the student 3 months later, Robert Chen walks into the Junfan Gung Fu Institute in Chinatown. Tuesday evening, 1600 p.m. He's wearing simple training clothes, no gi, no belt, just black pants and a white t-shirt. The school is on the second floor of a brick building that's seen better decades. Wooden stairs creak under his feet. The air smells of liniment oil and sweat, the honest sense of serious training. The training floor is hardwood, scarred by years of use. Mirrors line one wall. Heavy bags hang from the ceiling. 20 students work in pairs, their movements creating a symphony of controlled contact, the sharp sound of strikes meeting focus mitts, the shuffle of feet on wood, the controlled grunts of effort. Bruce sees him enter and nods but doesn't stop teaching. He's demonstrating Shai Sao, sticky hands training, with a student, showing how to maintain contact and read an opponent's energy through touch. Robert watches, fascinated despite himself. The techniques are foreign to his judo background, but the principles underneath are familiar: sensitivity, reading an opponent's energy, flowing with pressure instead of fighting against it. After the demonstration, Bruce calls the class to attention. We have a new student. Robert Chen, 6th-degree judo black belt, 15 years of experience, legitimate skill. He looks directly at Robert, but today he's a white belt because we're all white belts when we learn something new. Robert, welcome. The class bows. Robert bows back. Bruce pairs him with Dan Inosanto. Danny, teach him Chiso basics. Don't go easy on him, but don't break him either. Dan grins and extends his arms. Ready? Robert steps forward, arms up, makes contact, and for the next 2 hours, Robert Chen begins the process of unlearning 15 years of rigid structure and learning to be water. 50 years later, the legacy. 50 years later, Robert Chen is 78 years old, still teaching. His school in Westla now offers integrated martial arts, judo foundation with Jeet Kune principles, boxing, wrestling, all blended into a coherent system. On his office wall hangs a black and white photograph from 1974. Bruce Lee and Robert Chen, both smiling, Bruce's hand on Robert's shoulder. When students ask about Bruce, Robert tells them the airport story. He always ends the same way. I challenged him to prove Kung Fu was useless. He proved something better. He proved that real strength is offering to teach the person who challenged you. Bruce could have humiliated me, could have hurt me. Instead, he gave me 7 seconds that changed my life. 7 seconds of combat. 50 years of impact. That's the difference between winning a fight and changing a life.